The first time my wife said the words, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because my brain could not accept them. You are not his father. We were standing in the kitchen, barely 2 feet apart. The air smelled like dish soap and cold coffee. Our son, Noah, was upstairs watching cartoons, laughing at something that sounded innocent and safe. That laughter made the sentence even more poisonous. "What did you say?" I asked. My wife, Melissa, did not blink. She crossed her arms like she was ready for war. "I said," she repeated calmly, "you are not his father." I stared at her face, searching for the joke, searching for anger or sarcasm or anything that would make it less real. But she looked serious, almost relieved, like she had carried this secret too long and was finally happy to throw it at me. For a second, I could not breathe. Noah was 5. 5 years of birthdays, 5 years of scraped knees, bedtime stories, first days of school, and little hands grabbing my finger when he was scared. 5 years of calling me Daddy. And now, Melissa stood in front of me like she wanted to erase all of it with one sentence. "That is impossible," I whispered. "He looks like me." Melissa smiled, cold and tired. "He looks like whatever you want him to look like," she said. Then she grabbed her phone from the counter and slid it toward me. A message threat was open. Not to me, not to her sister, not to her mother. To a name I did not recognize. Derek. The messages were old, years old, but the words punched through time like bullets. "I miss you. He can never know. I wish it was you holding him." My hands shook. Melissa leaned close and whispered like she was speaking to a child. "You have no idea how easy it is to lie to a good man," she said. "You love him too much to question anything." My chest tightened so hard it hurt. "Why are you telling me now?" I asked, my voice breaking. Melissa shrugged, like my pain was boring. "Because I am done pretending," she said. "I am filing for divorce." Those words hit harder than the secret. Divorce. My mind flashed to every sacrifice I made for this family, every overtime shift, every weekend I missed with friends, every moment I chose Melissa and Noah over everything else. And she looked at me like I was replaceable. "I will take Noah. You will pay child support, and you will stay out of my life." Something inside me cracked. "I raised him," I said, voice shaking. "I am his father." Melissa laughed softly. "Biology decides that, and court decides the rest." Court. That word made my stomach turn, because Melissa was the kind of woman who smiled in public and stabbed in private. If she was already planning court, she already had a script. Witnesses, stories, lies. She was not just leaving, she was going to destroy me on her way out. That night, after she went to bed in the guest room like she had already claimed victory, I sat in Noah's room and watched him sleep. His eyelashes were long, his cheeks still had baby softness. His stuffed dinosaur was tucked under his arm. I brushed his hair gently and whispered, "I love you." He did not wake, but I felt like he heard me anyway. In the hallway, I heard Melissa's footsteps. She paused behind me. "You should not get too attached," she said softly. Then she added, "He will forget you faster than you think." I turned, rage in my chest, but she was already walking away. I stayed there until morning. Then, when Noah left for kindergarten, Melissa handed me papers like she was handing me trash. Divorce petition, custody request, child support demand. And on the last page, in bold letters, was the sentence that made my blood run cold. Respondent is not the biological father. Melissa looked at me and smiled. "You can fight if you want, but the truth always wins in court." She walked out of the house with her head high. She did not know one thing. Truth does win in court, and I was about to make sure the truth destroyed her
first. The first week of the divorce felt like drowning. Melissa moved like a machine, efficient and cold. She already had an attorney, a woman named Karen Holt, who specialized in high-conflict custody cases, which basically meant she knew how to turn families into war zones and profit from the blood. Dangerous opponent, Robert told me, is the one who does not feel guilt. That was Melissa. Melissa did not just want to leave, she wanted to win. She wanted custody, she wanted money, and she wanted me humiliated. In court documents, she called me emotionally unstable. She claimed I was controlling. She hinted that Noah was frightened of me. She wrote that I yelled, that I threw things, that I created an unsafe environment. I read those pages and felt nausea. The craziest part was how believable it looked, because Melissa wrote lies the way talented people write poetry. At the first temporary hearing, Melissa appeared with perfect makeup and a soft, trembling voice. She wore a light sweater, the kind that made her look fragile. She held Noah's small hand like she was protecting him from a monster. From me. Noah looked confused. His eyes searched the room. Then he saw me. His face lit up. "Daddy!" he shouted, tugging Melissa's hand. Melissa's grip tightened instantly. She leaned down and whispered something in his ear. Noah's smile faded. He looked at the floor. My chest tightened. Robert touched my arm. "Stay calm," he whispered. The judge reviewed the allegations and spoke carefully. "Until further evidence," he said, "temporary custody will remain with the mother. The father will have supervised visitation." Supervised? Like I was dangerous. Melissa looked at me as if she had already buried me. Outside the courtroom, she leaned close and whispered, "You will see him 2 hours a week, and he will get used to you being a stranger." I stood there shaking, not with fear, with rage, because I knew Melissa was poisoning my son's heart, slowly, quietly, innocently. That night, I opened the messages again. Derek, the secret lover. If Melissa lied about Noah, she could lie about everything. She could make me pay child support for a child who was not biologically mine, then erase me from Noah's life like I was a babysitter. Robert warned me not to accuse without proof, but proof was exactly what I needed. "DNA test," I told him on the phone. "I want a DNA test." Robert paused. "Careful," he said. "That will change everything. If the test proves you are not the father, Melissa will use it to push you out completely." My throat tightened. "But if I am not the father, she should not steal money from me with a lie." Robert sighed. "Then we do it the right way," he said. "We request court-ordered paternity testing." Melissa refused immediately. Her lawyer filed objections. They claimed it would traumatize the child. They claimed it was retaliation. They claimed it was emotional abuse. But I saw the fear behind it. Melissa was not worried about Noah's trauma. She was worried about truth. The judge scheduled the test anyway, not in private, in official court process. Melissa came out of that hearing pale. She glared at me like she wanted to rip my face off. Then she whispered, "You are making a mistake." I smiled coldly. "No," I said. "You made the mistake when you lied." 2 days before the test, something happened that made my stomach drop. Noah called me on Melissa's phone. His voice was small. "Daddy," he whispered, "Mommy says you do not love me anymore." I froze. "What?" I asked. "She said you want to leave because I'm not yours. She said you will forget me." My chest cracked open. "Noah, listen to me. I love you. I will never forget you. You hear me?" There was silence, then a tiny sniff. "Then why are you doing blood test?" he whispered. My throat burned, because Melissa did not just lie in court, she lied to my child. And suddenly, I understood. Melissa was not fighting for custody, she was rewriting history. And if I didn't stop her now, my son would grow up believing the lie that his father abandoned him. The DNA test was not just about money. It was about saving Noah from Melissa's poison. The day of the DNA test, Noah wore his dinosaur hoodie. He held Melissa's hand tightly, eyes wide with confusion, like he had been dragged into a world where adults spoke in cold words he did not understand. I wanted to scoop him up and carry him out of that building forever. But Court did not care about love. Court cared about procedure. Melissa looked flawless. Perfect hair, soft voice, tired eyes. She played the role of gentle mother so well, I almost wondered if she ever believed her own performance. The technician explained the swab process. Noah did not like it. He squirmed, frowning, and asked for me with his eyes. Melissa leaned down and whispered something. Noah stopped resisting. I knew exactly what she said. Be good, or Daddy will leave you. When it was my turn, the technician took my swab quickly. No pain, no drama. But my chest felt like it was being cut open anyway. Afterward, Melissa pulled me aside near the elevator. Her smile disappeared. Her voice turned low and sharp. If you keep pushing, she hissed, you will lose him. I stared at her. You already tried to make me lose him, I replied. Melissa's eyes flashed. He is not yours, she whispered. You are borrowing him, and I am taking him back. I wanted to hit her. Instead, I did something better. I stayed calm. You are scared, I said, softly. Melissa scoffed, but her fingers trembled. I am not scared of anything, she snapped. But she was. Over the next week, Melissa became desperate. She called Noah's school and changed emergency contacts. She told the principal not to release Noah to anyone but her. She blocked my calls at night. She suddenly claimed Noah was sick during visitation days. Each move was quiet, legal, hard to prove, but obvious to anyone who understood control. Robert Lane warned me. She is preparing for the result, he said. If the test comes back negative, she will try to erase you completely. I swallowed. And if it comes back positive? I asked. Robert sighed. Then she will say you pressured her, he said. She will claim emotional abuse. She will twist the story either way. 2 days before the court hearing where results would be revealed, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. A text message. Stop the test or I will ruin you. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. Then another message came. Derek will testify. He will tell court you were violent. He will confirm you are not the father. My blood turned cold. Derek was real, not just a name. Melissa had brought him into the war. That night, I met Robert at his office. He looked grim. We need evidence of her affair, he said. Not for revenge, for credibility. I nodded. Then we get it. Robert hired a private investigator. Within 48 hours, we had photos. Melissa meeting Derek at a hotel. Melissa kissing him. Melissa handing him an envelope. My hands shook as I stared at the images. My wife. My child's mother. The woman who smiled in family photos. She was not a victim. She was a liar with a plan. On the morning of the court hearing, Melissa arrived late. Not because she was careless, because she wanted attention. She walked in holding Noah close. Noah looked tired and scared. Melissa looked at me and smiled sweetly. I hope you are proud. You are breaking his heart for your ego. My chest burned. Then the judge entered. The clerk called the case, and the sealed DNA results were placed on the table like a bomb. Melissa's face tightened. Her smile faded. For the first time, she looked nervous, because whatever was inside that envelope would decide everything, and Melissa could not control it.
The courtroom was quiet in the way that makes every breath sound loud. Noah sat with Melissa, swinging his feet nervously. He did not understand DNA, paternity, or court. He only understood tension. And today, tension felt like a storm building above his small head. Melissa kept one hand on Noah's shoulder like an anchor. Her other hand gripped her lawyer's pen so tightly I thought it would snap. She was still trying to look calm, but her eyes kept flicking toward the sealed envelope on the evidence table. My lawyer, Robert Lane, leaned close. "Remember," he whispered, "we focus on facts. No emotion. No matter what happens, stay steady." I nodded, though my chest felt like it might tear. The judge reviewed earlier custody orders, then turned to the DNA results. "Counsel," he said, "are both parties prepared to receive the paternity test findings?" Melissa's lawyer stood quickly. "Yes, Your Honor," she said. Melissa added softly, "Yes." But her voice cracked, just a little, just enough to reveal fear. The judge nodded to the clerk. "Open it," he ordered. The clerk broke the seal and scanned the document, then handed it to the judge. The judge read it silently at first. His face did not change. That calm terrified me, more than anger would have. Then he spoke. "The paternity test indicates," he said slowly, "that Mr. Daniel Hart is not the biological father of the minor child Noah Hart." The words hit the room like a gunshot. Noah frowned, not understanding. Melissa inhaled sharply, like she had been punched. Then she forced a sob. "Oh, God," she whispered, covering her mouth. She turned toward the judge, tears flowing. "I told him," she said. "I told him the truth, but he kept attacking me." Melissa's lawyer immediately stood. "Your Honor," she said, "this confirms what my client has stated. Mr. Hart is attempting to insert himself into a child's life that is not his. He is using emotional manipulation. We request full custody and immediate termination of his parental rights." My stomach twisted. Termination? Like my love could be deleted? Robert stood calmly. "Your Honor," he said, "we have additional evidence relevant to credibility. We request permission to submit photographic evidence of Mrs. Hart's affair and financial arrangements." Melissa froze. Her tears stopped. The judge frowned. "Proceed," he said. Robert submitted the investigator photos. Melissa's lawyer grabbed them, scanned them, and her face changed. The courtroom felt colder. The judge stared at Melissa. "Mrs. Hart," he asked, "is this you?" Melissa stuttered. I do not know. That could be anyone," she said quickly. Robert replied, "We also request subpoenas for hotel records and communications with the man identified as Derek Miles." Derek. Melissa's face went pale. Noah stared at her, confused. "Mommy?" he whispered. Melissa swallowed hard and forced another sob. "Daniel is trying to hurt me. He is doing this to punish me." But her voice sounded weaker now, because the mask was cracking. Then the judge said something that made the courtroom freeze. "If Mr. Hart is not the biological father," he said, "then the identity of the biological father becomes relevant for custody and financial support." Melissa's hands trembled. Her plan was turning against her, because DNA thought it would erase me. She did not realize DNA would drag her secret into the light. And suddenly, the court was no longer asking if I was Noah's father. The court was asking who else had been lying. The next hearing was scheduled fast. When court smells dishonesty, it moves like fire. Melissa tried to delay it. She claimed anxiety. She claimed Noah was sick. She claimed she needed time to recover from trauma. But the judge did not care. Because once a mother lies about paternity in court, it is not just a private scandal. It is fraud. Melissa still had one advantage, though. She controlled Noah. After the DNA result, she stopped allowing phone calls. She refused visitation. She claimed Noah was confused. She filed emergency motions, asking the court to cut off my contact until psychological evaluation could be completed. I felt like I was being strangled slowly. Robert Lane warned me. "She is trying to create distance," he said. "If she makes Noah forget you, the judge will say the bond is gone." Forget me. That word haunted me. I drove past Noah's school every day, not to stalk, but to feel close to him. I sat in my car and watched children run on the playground. When I saw Noah's dinosaur hoodie, my chest tightened. I wanted to scream. Instead, I stayed patient, because revenge without patience is just rage. Roberts worked behind the scenes. Subpoenas were filed, hotel records requested, phone logs demanded. Melissa's lawyer fought everything, but courts do not like hiding. 2 weeks later, the court forced Melissa to appear again. This time, a different judge joined the case, someone known for being strict. Melissa walked in with a smaller smile, not confident anymore, more desperate. The judge began with one question. "Mrs. Hart," he asked, "why did you list Mr. Hart as the father on the birth certificate if he is not the biological father?" Melissa opened her mouth. Silence came out first. Then she whispered, "I believed he was." Robert stood. "Your Honor," he said calmly, "we request permission to question Mrs. Hart regarding her relationship with Derek Miles during the pregnancy period." Melissa's lawyer objected. The judge overruled. Melissa's shoulders stiffened. Robert asked, "Mrs. Hart, did you have a romantic relationship with Derek Miles while married to Daniel Hart?" Melissa swallowed. "No," she lied. Robert placed printed messages on the evidence table. The same messages I saw in the kitchen. "I miss you. He can never know." Melissa's face went white. Robert continued, "Did you meet Mr. Miles at the Crestwood Hotel on May 12th, 13th, and 19th? Melissa's voice shook. "I do not remember," she said. Robert turned to the judge. "Your Honor," he said, "hotel records confirm her entry." The judge stared at Melissa, patience thinning. "Answer the question," he ordered. Melissa snapped. "Yes," she shouted. "Yes, I met him, but that does not matter now." It mattered. The courtroom shifted. Then the strict judge asked the most dangerous question of all. "Who is the biological father?" he asked. Melissa froze. Her eyes darted around like a trapped animal. She whispered, "It is not relevant." The judge's voice turned sharp. "It is relevant. This court will not allow a child to exist inside a legal lie." Melissa's hands trembled. Her lawyer leaned close, whispering urgently. Melissa shook her head. Then she spoke. "It is Derek," she whispered. A gasp moved through the room. My lungs froze. Derek, not just a name, not just a message thread. A man who existed. A man who had been part of my family without me knowing. The judge nodded slowly. "Then Mr. Miles will appear in court," he said, "and this case will be reassessed." Melissa's face twisted into panic. "No," she whispered, "please." But it was too late. Melissa had lied too long. Now she was going to face the one thing she feared more than losing money: exposure. And I realized the trap was closing. Not on me, on her.
Derek Miles showed up wearing a suit that did not fit his soul. He walked into court like a man trying to look respectable, but his eyes betrayed him. He looked nervous, annoyed, and slightly amused, like this was an inconvenience he never expected to handle in public. Melissa avoided his gaze. That alone told me something. She did not love Derek. She used him, and now he was a loose end. The judge ordered Derek to take the stand. Derek swore the oath with a smirk. Then he looked at me like I was a stranger, like the years of my life he stole did not matter. Robert Lane's voice stayed calm. "Mr. Miles," he said, "did you have a sexual relationship with Melissa Hart during her marriage?" Derek shrugged. "Yes," he said casually. Melissa flinched. The judge frowned. "Mr. Miles," he said, "this is a court of law." Derek raised his hands. "Sorry, Your Honor," he said with fake respect. Robert continued. "Were you aware Mrs. Hart was pregnant?" Derek nodded. "Yes," he said. "She told me." Robert asked, "Did she tell you the child could be yours?" Derek hesitated, then laughed. "She said maybe," he replied, "but she said her husband would raise him. She said Daniel was a safe man." Safe. A word that felt like poison. Melissa whispered, "Stop," under her breath.
Derek continued anyway. She said Daniel would never leave. He would do anything for the kid. My nails dug into my palm. Robert turned a page. "Did you ever meet Noah?" he asked. Derek shook his head. "No," he said. "Melissa did not want that. She said it would complicate things." The judge leaned forward, voice firm. "Mr. Miles," he asked, "did you provide financial support for the child?" Derek laughed. "No," he said. "Why would I? He is not my problem." The courtroom went silent. I felt my chest burn. Not my problem. Derek just admitted he never wanted Noah. He never wanted responsibility. He wanted pleasure, and Melissa wanted security. Robert Lane spoke slowly. "Your Honor," he said, "Mrs. Hart knowingly misrepresented paternity. She used my client as a financial provider. She then attempted to remove him from the child's life once the truth was convenient." Melissa's lawyer jumped up. "Objection!" she shouted. The judge overruled. Melissa looked like her skin was falling off. She whispered, "Derek, please." Derek glanced at her and smirked. "You said you had it under control," he muttered. Then, the judge asked the question that changed everything again. "Mr. Miles," he said, "are you willing to assume parental responsibility?" Derek leaned back. "No," he said immediately. "I have my own life." Melissa's eyes widened. Her plan was collapsing. She expected Derek to play supportive father. Instead, Derek revealed what he truly was: a coward. The judge's voice turned colder. "Then this court will order child support from you regardless," he said, "and custody will be determined based on the best interest of the child, not the ego of the adults." Melissa's breathing became fast, shallow. "No," she whispered. "You cannot—" The judge cut her off. "You can," he said, "and I will." For the first time since this began, Melissa looked at me without arrogance. She looked scared, because the money she wanted was not coming from me anymore, and the child she wanted to control was not staying inside her lies. Derek walked out of court with a shrug. Melissa watched him leave like she wanted to scream. Then she turned to me and whispered something that made my blood freeze. "You will pay for this." But her threats sounded weak now, because she was not the winner anymore. She was the exposed liar, and I had one more weapon she did not expect: the truth about what she did to Noah emotionally. And the court was finally starting to see it. The court ordered a child psychologist evaluation. Melissa fought it at first. She claimed it was invasive, but the judge insisted. Noah met with Dr. Elaine Porter, a calm woman with kind eyes who spoke softly, like she understood the language of children better than adults ever could. I sat in the waiting room like a criminal waiting for a verdict, not because I feared the truth, because I feared what Melissa did to Noah's mind. When Dr. Porter met with me privately later, her expression was serious. "Daniel," she said softly, "Noah is under heavy emotional pressure." My stomach dropped. "What kind of pressure?" I asked. Dr. Porter sighed. "He believes he will be abandoned," she said. "He believes love is conditional. He believes he must earn safety by behaving correctly." That sentence cut deeper than the DNA result. Because DNA did not shape Noah's heart. Love did. And Melissa poisoned love. Dr. Porter continued. "He repeats phrases that sound rehearsed," she said, "like someone has been coaching him." I clenched my jaw. "Melissa," I whispered. Dr. Porter nodded slowly. "Children do not invent that kind of fear alone," she said. The next court hearing, Dr. Porter testified. The judge listened. The courtroom stayed silent. When Dr. Porter explained Noah's emotional state, Melissa's lawyer tried to object, but Dr. Porter's voice stayed firm. "The child is being manipulated," she said. "He is being forced to choose loyalties. This is psychological harm." Melissa's face twisted. "Lies," she whispered. Then the judge turned to Melissa. "Mrs. Hart," he said, "did you tell the child his father would abandon him?" Melissa froze. She shook her head quickly. "No," she lied. I felt anger rise. Robert stood calmly and played an audio clip. It was Noah's phone call, recorded, legal because it was evidence in the custody case. Noah's voice filled the courtroom. "Mommy says you do not love me anymore. She said you will forget me because I am not yours." Melissa's lips trembled. She stared at the floor like the ground could swallow her. The judge's voice turned sharp. "This is unacceptable," he said. Melissa suddenly snapped. "I was protecting him," she shouted. "He deserves the truth." Robert replied coldly. "He deserves love," he said, "and you used fear." Melissa screamed. "You do not understand. I did what I had to do." The judge's gavel slammed. "Enough," he said. Then the judge looked at me. "Mr. Hart," he said, "you are not the biological father, but you have acted as the psychological parent for 5 years, and it appears the child views you as the safe caregiver." My chest tightened. Safe caregiver. That word felt like victory and heartbreak at the same time. The judge continued. "Therefore," he said, "this court will consider shared custody based on the child's best interest." Melissa's face went pale. "No," she whispered. "You cannot give him custody. He is not the father." The judge looked her coldly. "Fatherhood is more than DNA," he said, "and motherhood is more than possession." The room went silent. Melissa began crying again, but this time it was not performance. This time it was panic, because she realized something. She could not erase me from Noah's life, and the court was starting to see her not as a victim, but as a manipulator. The trap tightened around her, and now she had only one move left: destroy me publicly. If she could not win legally, she would try to ruin my name. Melissa filed a new accusation, a serious one: domestic violence. She claimed I had grabbed her arm aggressively 2 years ago. She claimed I threw a plate once. She claimed Noah witnessed abusive behavior. It was poison, not because it was believable, because it was designed to stain me forever. When Robert Lane read the filing, his eyes hardened. "She is desperate," he said. "She is going for the nuclear option." The court scheduled an emergency hearing. Melissa arrived wearing long sleeves. She had a faint bruise on her wrist. My stomach dropped. No, she did not. She came prepared. She created evidence. Melissa's lawyer spoke dramatically. "My client feared for her safety for years," she said. "She stayed silent to protect her child, but now she must speak." Melissa cried softly. "Daniel scares me," she whispered. "He scares Noah." Noah sat beside her, eyes down, hands twisting. It broke me to see him like that, a child forced to play a role in adult war. The judge looked at me. "Mr. Hart," he said, "what is your response?" Robert stood. "Your Honor," he said, "we will address this directly. First," he continued, "the bruise Mrs. Hart presents is not verified. Second, her timeline conflicts with medical records. Third, we have evidence she arranged this accusation to gain advantage." Melissa's lawyers shouted objections. The judge overruled. Robert submitted something I did not even know he had: a security camera video from a grocery store parking lot. Melissa was in the frame. She was talking to a woman, then she pressed her wrist against her car door edge hard, repeatedly. She was creating the bruise. The courtroom froze. Melissa's face drained of color. Her lawyer stepped back like she just poisoned him too. Melissa whispered, "No!" The judge stared at the screen, anger rising. "Mrs. Hart," he said, voice cold, Did you fabricate an injury to support a false accusation? Melissa started shaking. I was under stress, she stuttered. I was scared. Robert's voice stayed calm but sharp. You were not scared. You were calculating. Melissa collapsed into tears, but it was too late. Her lie was caught on video. That is the kind of lie courts do not forgive. The judge ordered an immediate review. Melissa was warned. Any further false statements could result in contempt charges and custody penalties. Outside the courtroom, Melissa leaned toward me, eyes burning. You stole him from me, she hissed. I looked at her and whispered back, no, you poisoned him, and now you are being exposed. Melissa's face twisted in hatred. Then she smiled suddenly, a dangerous smile. You think you won, but you do not even know the biggest truth yet. My stomach tightened. What truth? I asked. Melissa stepped closer, voice low. Noah is not the only secret, she whispered. I lied about more than his father. Then she turned and walked away. My heart pounded because Melissa was hinting at something deeper, something that could destroy everything again, and I realized the DNA test was not the end. It was only the first explosion.
2 days later, Melissa's lawyer filed to withdraw from the case. That told me everything. Even her own attorney stopped believing her. But Melissa did not stop. She became quieter, more careful, more dangerous. She started calling people, school staff, neighbors, old friends, anyone who could repeat her story. Her goal was not court anymore. Her goal was reputation. If she could not win custody fully, she would make sure I never lived with peace. Then, Detective Maria Shaw entered the story. Not because of custody, because of fraud. Melissa's paternity lie was not only emotional, it involved money, years of money, tax filings, insurance benefits, employer-dependent coverage in child support requests. The state does not like being lied to. Maria came to Robert's office with a folder. Melissa Hart has financial irregularities, she said. She reported Daniel as father for benefits while privately telling Derek he was the biological father. I stared at her. So, she committed fraud, I whispered. Maria nodded. Yes, she said, and now she may face charges. Robert exhaled slowly. That will break her, he said. But Melissa broke in a different way. When she realized she could be arrested, she called me. Her voice was sweet at first. Daniel, she whispered, we can fix this. We can settle. Just give me some money and I will stop. Stop? Like love was a negotiation? I stayed silent. Melissa's voice turned sharp. If you do not help me, she hissed, I will tell Noah the worst things about you. I will ruin your bond. My blood burned. You already tried, I said coldly. Melissa breathed fast. You do not understand, she whispered. If I go down, everyone goes down. Your father, your family, everything. My stomach tightened. My father? I asked. Melissa laughed softly. I know things, she said. I know what he did. He helped hide this secret, and he would hate you for exposing it. The call ended. I stared at the phone, shaking. Melissa was trying to drag my life into bigger dirt, but the court did not care about threats anymore. The judge ordered that Noah live temporarily with me during the week, with Melissa receiving supervised visitation until psychological harm concerns were addressed. Melissa screamed when she heard it. Noah moved into my apartment quietly, holding his dinosaur stuffed toy. He looked around like he was entering a new planet. I knelt down and hugged him gently. You are safe, I whispered. Noah started crying. Not loud,
just little broken sobs. "I thought you would leave," he whispered. My throat burned. "I'm here," I said. "I'm not leaving." That night, Noah fell asleep on my chest while I watched the ceiling. The DNA test proved I was not his biological father, but every heartbeat in his small body told me something else. I was his father in the ways that matter, and Melissa was about to learn that courts cannot erase love, but love can expose lies.
Melissa was arrested 2 weeks later. Not for cheating, not for lies in court, for fraud. The Detective Maria Shaw case moved fast. Melissa's benefits, tax records, and dependency filings showed a clear pattern. She used my name as a financial shield while knowing the truth privately. When officers came to her apartment, Melissa screamed. She cried. She claimed she was misunderstood. But the evidence did not care about tears. Derek was subpoenaed too. He tried to disappear, but court orders do not accept cowardice. In the final hearing, the judge delivered the ruling. Melissa's custody was reduced, supervised visits only, mandatory therapy and parenting classes. Derek was ordered to pay child support. He protested, he complained, but the judge did not flinch. Noah deserves support from his biological father, the judge said. Then the judge looked at me. "Mr. Hart," he said, "you are not the biological father, but you are the psychological parent. You have provided stability, care, and love. Therefore," he continued, "this court grants you joint custody rights and parenting time protection." Melissa stood and screamed, "No, he is not the father. You cannot do that." The judge hit the gavel. "I can," he said firmly, "and I will." Melissa's face collapsed. Her plan was dead. She tried to erase me with DNA. Instead, DNA erased her lies. Months later, my life looked different. Not perfect, not easy, but honest. Noah attended therapy. Slowly, his fear faded. He stopped asking if I would leave. He started laughing again. One evening, while we built a Lego spaceship, Noah looked up at me and asked softly, "Daddy, am I still yours?" My chest tightened. I put the Lego down and pulled him into my arms. "Yes," I said, "you are mine, not because of blood, because of love." Noah smiled, relieved. Then he whispered, "I love you." At that moment, I realized Melissa did not just lose custody, she lost her power. Because the court saw her, the state charged her, and the child she tried to control found safety outside her lies. Melissa lied about our son. Then the DNA test shocked the court. But the biggest shock was something she never expected. A father can be created by love and destroyed by cruelty. And karma always comes for the liar.